Hello, hello, mi comunidad, mi gente. Welcome to another episode of La Esquina Presente. I am so happy to have you all here today to watch an amazing group of poets. This month, we're doing a little virtual feature because I wanted to take a break from doing it live. We will be coming back live next month, and I'll do that quick announcement toward the end of the show. I just wanted to say a little bit about the new mission like Ina is going to be taking. If we do more online shows, that's going to be more sporadic than what we had previously on a monthly basis. We will be doing more live shows, but when we do a virtual show, I wanted to let everybody know that the mission for La Esquina Presente is to be more politically active during this time that we're living through. This means that most of our features will be, for the live shows at least, will be community organizations that are already doing the work. And they will be there to either do teach-ins, to do creative features, or even do creative teach-ins where they can present something to the community. On top of that, we're featured now in several different communities throughout the city. We're not just going to be staying in Brooklyn, we're going to go through all five boroughs, specifically in communities, Latino communities or communities of color, because we feel like the work, the political work that's being done in these communities is so valuable and important and should be featured toward those communities. Um, and with that, I want us to just head right into the open mic. We are going to be having these amazing, lovely features. First up on the mic will be Catherine Benitez. Second will be Fly Vida. Catherine, take it away.
Amazing. Hi, everyone. It's lovely to be in virtual space with everyone. Super excited to be sharing these poems. Happy Pride Month. This month is so special, but I feel every day of the queer lived experience is beyond special. It's really a blessing to be here and to exist in the liberation of my queer ancestors. So with that being said, this is Queer Casita. Um, Build me a house where we can exist unapologetically, a house where we can dance, sing, and vogue freely. Build me a house where the house is made of wood, blessed by Palo Santo from our ancestors, straight from Mother Earth, Madre Tierra. Dale todo, dale todo. Gifts from our queer, trans, and two-spirit elders passed on from generation to generation. Let it be a reminder that our medicina will always exist. Dame una casita donde podremos existir feliz, feliz, feliz. Una casita where we are safe. Safe from the hate not made from us, but created as an attack toward us. Build me a house where we can sit in the comfort of our living room without the fear of being harmed. He said, build me a house where we can watch RuPaul's Drag Race, listen to Precious, eat popcorn, laugh, and celebrate our simple queer and trans existence. You see, that is a dream of mine, un sueño mío, where casita is not constricted by the dimensions of four walls, but una casita that exists beyond four walls, beyond borders, without borders, for home to exist out in the world, for us to embrace the world and for the world to embrace us. Let us live. You see, build me a house where it is a community house, the queer casita, house of the queers, where everyone is welcomed. Is that too much to ask for? Give us our queer casita. So that is queer casita. Um, there's not too much to ask for. We just want to exist unapologetically in our queerness. Um, as we may know, there's so much happening right now with our communities. There's so much happening that is specifically also impacting our street vendors, people who are outside selling, trying to make a living, survival. And so I wrote this poem called Street Vendors, Beloved Street Vendors, as an offering to all of the people who helped make my childhood so much brighter. When I would come out of school and there would be the elotero, when I would come out of school, there would be the raspados. There would be all of these people who could like build another way of home in the streets. So this is Beloved Street Vendors. To the elotero I greet in the mornings, and to the raspado cart waiting for me after school. You are the dream come true for the immigrant child, feeding nuestras comunidades with love and respect that you don't always get in return. Mami reminds me, allí está. para los raspados. Pero no se te olvide saludar, because Mami knows a greeting is more than just words. It is a bridge to the country she grew up in and still belongs to her. Hola, buenas tardes, I say. Buenas tardes, muchacha. ¿Qué te puedo dar en este día? You say. And my heart flutters to the sound of your voice, what feels like a kiss from Mexico from afar. In those moments of exchange, I recognize it is us who protect each other. In silence and in chaos, nuestras palabras teach us we carry home in the tongues como una canción de cumbia. Me da un raspado de rompope, por favor, I say. Claro que sí, muchacha, you say. I travel to my bolita's arms with the sweetness of your words landing perfectly on my chest. Aquí está tu raspado, mija, you say. How beautifully words fall from your lips, like a hum of survival singing beyond borders, drawing the liberation of our future in the clouds, dancing freely in the light of our sun. Mommy reminds me street vendors are to be protected, to be held like the roots of our family tree. Que no se te olvide. Their hands, brown with labor, are also wings, reminding us migration is a movement never to be forgotten. So write this letter con tanto amor. Street vendors are more than stands, more than carts, more than fruta y flores. They are a story of resilience, endurance, and dreams flying, flying, flying above the skies. And I promise I will protect them. You. Those of you who remind me of the taste of home, I will protect you always, para siempre. Shout out to our street vendors. I love them so much. Oh my goodness. In Mexico, one of my tias also sells in el tianguis, or what people might be familiar here as a market, farm, like not a farmer's market, but like an open market. And she's one of the people who like has been vending for a while, and I just think about her, and they're all humans, with dreams too. This is my last poem. This is Libre de Mentiras. This is a poem that is currently in a zine called Mentirosa con Hermosas y Libros. And it will be, I think now it's available for purchase. And maybe I could drop the link in the chat. But if you go on Instagram, there's called Hermosas y Libros, and they dropped this zine about called Mentirosas, basically reclaiming this language of mentirosa, or in translation, liar. So yeah, I just think that it's powerful to be able to then reclaim these titles that have been put on us. And this is my way of liberating myself from what is called mentirosa, libre de mentiras. Mentí, I lied. To mami, papi, los cielos y Dios. Mentí varias veces. That's so funny. I'm in New York, of course. Mentí varias veces. My tongue split open, caught between the worlds of honesty and false words, tethered by the ropes of illusions, not by choice, but by force. Yo nací sin mentir. ¿Qué pasó? Mentí varias veces into myself, my body a temple of implied dreams, a piece of soil wrapped in the whispers of love. Men, no, y mi corazón desea a la mujer. Pregunta, ¿quién somos en verdad? Mentí varias veces to survive. My voice, a song of ancestral joteria, dancing in the living room of Donatzin, kissing the rosary beads of freedom, hoping the words líbrate de mentiras would find me. Mentí, I lied to the world multiple times, all while kissing the breast of a mujer. Mentí, I lied to being someone I was not, pero ahora soy libre, libre, libre. My soul, now a garden of red roses blooming in truth. Those are my poems. Um, Thank you, everyone. Thank you, thank you.
Catherine, thank you so much. Those
Mhm.
poems were absolutely beautiful, and thank you so much for evoking the street vendor, especially during this time. They are so
Mhm.
important, and all the things that are happening is so tragic,
Yeah.
out in these streets. Um, would you
Mhm.
like to share us where we can find you?
Yeah, I am on Instagram at underscore IMJSTLIVIN, which is I'm just living, because I am just living. I'm just living this life, this wild life, this beautiful place we get to call home, Earth. I am also on Facebook. It's just Catherine Benitez. Mhm.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Next on deck will be Kati E. Right now, we will be featuring welcome to the stage, Fly Vida.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. Catherine, thank you. That was beautiful. All of the pieces. I can't wait to play it back and listen to it and be able to sit with it. Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for sharing time and space. Um, it's it's wonderful to be here and uh, having you all to share our words with. I will open with mi orgullo. ¿Cómo se llama? Mi orgullo, como el cielo, mi gente, las nubes, a veces hermosas y otras peligrosas. Sin embargo, mi gente, las nubes, irradiando la luz del amor desde el corazón de una gente que mantiene su alma como el cielo, un orgullo como el sol. Thank you. Thank you. That's my first poem to celebrate Boricua Heritage Month. Yo soy Boricua, para que tú lo sepa. These are some selections from my book. You can't see it because it thinks it's part of the background. It is called The Fly Life Uncaged. It is my call to myself, to my community, to, as Catherine so beautifully put it, live this life and be here and be present. And I will follow up with a poem for pride. And that is something that I am. I say I am the A and I am the ally and I stand with you and I love you. Oh, you and your colorful colors that somehow get more colorful just by being you. Pride is not performance for your placation. It is a protest we were unwillingly drafted for. The protest we are enlisted in is not painless. It is never peaceful because slaying is not for the weak. We are a sight upon which your eyes may feast. We bleed, sweat, and shed tears over this meal we cooked and left no crumbs to squabble over. Bust out of your cabinet of curiosities. Who would choose to swim upstream because they shared their dream? Cursed by the damned, blessed be the fruit. Blessed be your truth. Do you think Jesus wept when he found out you were gay? Baby, he's the one who made you that way. Do you think the Bible accurately relays everything that happened between two men or two women in those days? How can you, who claim to respect me, do so when you do not accept me? Come out to me, and I will be your mother, your sister, your friend, your fighter, representative for your being, because your existence is resistance, and you, my darling, you are the best day we could have ever asked for. You and your colorful colors that somehow become more colorful just by being you. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't realize if this was getting in front of my face, but thank you so much. That is not in my book. I'm actually sharing some pieces that are not in the book. I'm kind of going back and forth. Thank you again for hearing me on the topic of what is going on in the world and learning how to carry that weight. I offer you my poem Ofrenda for the babies, the children, the lives in Gaza and Palestine. Ofrenda. In the days where we indulge in sweet treats and still others set altars in memories of their deceased, let us remember the deceased. who never received enough sweet treats or kisses on the cheeks or have an opportunity to know the feeling of peace. On my altar, I will bring you sweet treats. Some fake American chocolate you probably never tasted. It's not good for you anyway, but that's okay. I'd still give you an extra piece after we cleaned up from a meal that your mother made. I'll make sure to bring you the ingredients to your favorites. I'll bring you a soccer ball, since I imagine that's how you spent your time in between learning. I'll bring you a pencil and paper. And while we're on this subject, but what could you gain from this world? What could you have possibly learned from us? I will bring you a watermelon seed in fertile soil, a reminder that even when they try to bury you in the dirt and make you part of the earth, you will bring forth something bigger, your fruit sweeter, your roots deeper than they ever could have fathomed. I will bring you a candle to light your way on the road because it may be crowded, but it will rise to the occasion of taking you to paradise, the wind at your back to send you in the right direction. Let the sun shine soft upon your fields, and the only rain you will feel will fall warm upon your face, and surely you will find rest in the palm of his hand until we meet again. I will bring you a blanket so those warm nights can be spent under starlight without fear, without fright. Upon my altar, I will leave you sweet treats because you had never had the chance to receive enough sweet treats because now you will be free. A ceasefire in the name of the babies. Thank you so much. Thank you. Um, my final piece, I would like to end. I am going to read this. This is some new shit. I can say that, right? I can say that new shit. Shit, that's new. Okay. Well, that's what
New
it is.
shit. Let's go.
New shit. Thank you. Thank you. I've been in this space talking to people and being surrounded by my people, and it's lovely. Thank you. And Zay, teaching isn't fun anymore. I say you should stay for the presentation. I just snuck in the back to pick up testing materials when I was handed a bottle of mixed candy. Breakfast of champions? No, you should stay. The test can wait. I watched the presentation posed as a pitch. You were thrown in the water to a shiver of potential investors that just moments ago resembled your fellow classmates. Look how far you've come, casting hooks. The pitch took the form of a skit where candy could cure the ways my brain ails me. You locked your sight on your prey. You are a shark too. The shiver turned frenzied as they began to feed. Your investors sent their approval in laughter and exclamations of how ridiculous the acting was, but just with the right amount of madness, I am in awe of Jack Nicholson. They can't handle the truth. Freudian slips, oh shit, and other mistakes later. The final slide read persuasive techniques, testimonials. You reviewed your learning, execution, you sunk your teeth into that last bite. Clapping hands broke water's surface, dorsal fins and vertical tails, force fluidization of content sandbar that resisted tides now leveled with ease. You tasted victory. This is what learning could be. But they want you to take a damn test. That will be the last time we hand feed you. You have learned how to swim. The long journey from the creeks where minnows dwell. Now you navigate deep waters. You can hunt your own sustenance and find your own meaning. You are ready for open ocean. I will always stay for the presentation. Thank you. We love our job.
Thank you so much, Flavia. All your poems were absolutely amazing. Where can we reach you and where can we buy your book?
Yeah, so it's my book is on Amazon. Sorry, Blue Establishment. But I'm working on not having it on Amazon. This is my Instagram. It's Miss Fly Vida, ITSMISSFLYVIDA. The link is in my bio. And stay tuned for more readings in the future in person. So thank you so much.
Of course, thank you again. Next up on deck will be Whitney. But currently, I would like to introduce to you Kati E. Tenesaka Kumbe. Thank you so much for being here.
Um, Thank you, Isa, and everyone for today's space. I am honored to be a part of it today. And happy holidays from your fave fam, double ME, because I'm actually a lesbian. So I'm just happy to be here, just showing out. And yes, I am Kati Itenesaka Kumbe, or I'm also known as Katita la Gatita of Katita's Chaos. And Katita's Chaos is also my at where you can find me at. My website is currently down, but when it's back and running, there will be updates there too. So if you want to follow my work there. So the current poem I'm gonna do is something I did with my mentor for the Tilden's Center of the Arts. And this is No Somos Terroristas. I am sorry, Aluatoyin Salau. We were the same age when only I was allowed to live. I am sorry, Trayvon Benjamin Martin, who was half of a prophet's age when he too was persecuted. I am sorry to Elijah McClain, whose name is after a resurrector, but he could not live again. I am sorry to every autistic kid who learned advocacy and still wasn't paid no mind, especially due to the body they were in. I am sorry to the children who are taught authoritarian abuse and neglect with no mediation to support their imagination. I am sorry to every trans kid who steals the spotlight on who's harming the country rather than remember the wealthy who harm the earth we live in. I am sorry you had to kiss a flag you had no allegiance to, Greta Thunberg. I am sorry for outliving every woman and sorry to witness another mother grieving her daughters. I am sorry to young girls like Maria Niotis and Isabela Salas, that when you were murdered for your beliefs by the fan of a bigot, you didn't get an email nationwide from presidents and leads of colleges and universities acknowledging you as a victim of political violence. I am sorry to every Palestinian who was gaslighted and ignored, dying, starved, but already was halfway into rubble and bones. I am sorry we turned away from the sentience of our humanity, that we have become complicit in the belly of oppression, where tyrants rub elbows, but people want to believe we can still hold their hand. I am sorry to Ruben Abelardo Ortiz Lopez, who was sentenced to death in isolation by deportation. I am sorry to his beloved Monica Moreta Galarza, as you were pulled by the hair on your skull and your cranium banged on the ground, where all you saw were feet of your assailant putting you in your place. And posterior to him were your loves begging in terror, "Mom, no," as they begged you to still be alive. Well, beyond their pleas, since you're all they had left after your abuser marked your husband's sentence. I'm sorry to everyone who prayed and prayed and prayed. It was probably easier to reason with a God we cannot envision for mercy than the monsters before us materialized on earth. I am sorry for Efrain Fueres and all fallen in the motherland. I am sorry that I have to apologize on behalf of occupants, colonizers, settlers, and bystanders, even though I had to be sorry to my adult white teacher for believing in freedom of a people when I didn't stand up to kiss a flag that has dishonored and displaced. I was 16, a kid made to be a threat, when I reacted to violence and was told my discomfort was the same as someone reiterating what their parents, who sit as officers, doctors, lawyers, public officials, that had indoctrinated them with. I'm sorry I got to live and not go missing, and the rest of you, many more, didn't. Causa shun mi junakuna. All of us dead will live in every breathing poem, vigil, and song. No somos terroristas. We are not the terrorists. And my second poem is also new shit. I wrote it recently after a little bit of a block. Um, it was inspired by a dream I had late last year where I was doing some deeper inner healing work. I was doing some EMDR sessions, and that was one of the hardest shit I've ever had to do in my fucking life. But it had to be done, you know. And the title's still working, but I'm currently at no, I'm getting that for real. My last nightmare, a voyage ending. In the eye of the storm, I never saw clearly. All I could do was brace, amassed, and hope I'd stand still, calmly. Like the waves that crashed against my port, and I watched from that deck, swaying and rolling around, the barrel full of booze, each plank soaking and creaking, threatening to break, and bullet nails danced with a violence that never understood the level of you. In one of the bad lands I ported, an empty wasteland, a talk of ruin beneath the debris, and there I saw it, a single narcissus, as promised. But when I tried to get close, the stature of a girl became from the stem. A child with her face turned away, a posture wilting. Inching closer, she turned enough for me to see. She, and her sight sank, as all she knew was this. Your hands of wreckage gripping her twisting wrists to pick her, like you owned her, then had the audacity to begin to walk away with the treasure of this land. Unhand that girl. A pause of acknowledgement as you stopped, but silence was all you could say. Could it really be? In the blimp of this, you felt ashamed? You took another step away with this child that could not will a fight. That's what you do. I knew from every eye wall I weathered, every wave of realization that flooded into the poorest parts of my brain. So when it all washed away, I opened my eyes to see you dragging away the body of this child that looked like my niece, all at the same time, giving up and refusing in her streaming tears. With the river between us and the currents that angered, a wet over the lands who thirsted for creation and civilization again. A heaviness of the girl who could not advocate, the grip of your hand that shackled her wrist, and the growing coldness against my waist as your back became smaller and the child began to fade as I reached for my belt. I told you, a magazine click. Let that, a trigger. Girl, a finger I let go. There goes your perfectly ironed white button up you wore with your stupid fucking undersized slacks. A crimson spread like a red rose blossoming on your back, with the unbearable weight that came behind, pulling you as you dropped into the river. Not even the rushing, raging currents could help you forward, as the sleeping woman at the bottom, a mother of mine, welcomed even the worst of her children in an embrace when you sank to the bottom. A brief prayer. Yupay Pachamamita. Long were nights where all I formed were rivers to oceans and sea, and had sailed a ship too. Thank you, everyone.
Kathy, thank you so much. It was wonderful to hear you read. I hope you come back into the space again, hopefully in person someday. But definitely, if you can come on back again virtually, we'll love to have you. Um, Tell us again, where can we reach you?
Oh, absolutely. So you can reach me currently at Katitas Chaos, and that's Katitas Schaos. Katitas Chaos. That's my on Instagram.
Again, thank you so much. Next up on deck will be Diana. Can I welcome up to the stage Whitney Alexis? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Issa, for inviting me. And can everyone hear me all right? I want to make sure my signal's okay. Okay, thank you. Here I go. So I want to try to be good with timing like everyone else was. So just let me know if I need to wrap up the poem. My first piece is called my first piece is called Sobriety, and it's for people healing. People healing. I don't want to be sober if it means repeating history. Let my eyes glaze over past mistakes, like the splicing of a film. Faces appearing in the corner, undetectable spots. Yet I feel them, their hands greedily snatching at my waist, my hips superimposed against their pelvises, each one lined up before they fire, as guns do. Please forgive me, Father. The reels constantly reappear in slow motion, each millisecond in the memory of my mind a blaze of agony. Flames spread along my body. The burning arises as my skin is reduced to ashes. Why? I ask myself in soliloquies. I never wanted to be abused. I didn't ask to be assaulted or raped. My body exists and I am condemned for living in it. Trust me, I have tried to shed this mortal coil, yet resist this purgatory damning me still. If I could have one wish, I would ask to live in an alternate reality, one where I am unscathed, untouched, loved by only one man. Were I able to destroy the evidence in my mind just as my body eliminated itself of matter, I would seize this never-ending suffering. The lights return in the back of my eyes, briefly before disappearing like night. My eyes open to the sight of the porcelain sink in the office bathroom. My body bent over in question, my legs stiff upon the chair in the kitchen, frozen. My hands on his dick in the dorm, his hands on my breasts in the living room, my blood in the toilet, my body reconstructing periods for protection, plan B, my body in bed, curled, sobbing, empty. Please let this nightmare end before the dissociation swallows me whole. Let me be high, riding the waves of serenity. Let me not be here for it again. I don't want to feel their kisses. I don't want to feel the phantom limbs, shadows, their voices in my head, their lies in my ears, my eyes full of their faces. I worry over my desire to escape from reality, but this fear is too deep, too deep. He was too deep in me before he exited upon my screaming. He did not listen to my cries to stop, and he did not ask me if I wanted it again and again and again. I awake to this tragedy in my mind. I don't want to be sober. Please don't let me witness for every person who is healing from similar trauma. Thank you, thank you. This second piece is called Death for people who may be going through depression and hoping for brighter prospects, but who may sometimes struggle with waves, right? Recovery is not linear, recovery is cyclical. So yes, death. I dreamt of dying again. Hello, darkness, my old friend. Sunk underneath buoyed depression. 6 feet underground, ashes to ashes, allow me to be dust again, like in the beginning, Genesis, intergalactic matter with no mass, unhurt. Let me be golden, reincarnated as sunshine, omnipotent, all-encompassing light, unfeeling, unknowing yet not unexisting, cosmic energy, or nirvana, perpetual state of peace, relief of earthly desires and suffering, not this incessant aching, my soul a pit of despair, sinking into the earth, hell upon my heels, singing in my eyes, recreating rot, decaying matter to the root, devilish instincts, rotten Calvinistic spirit, hopeless. I am so lonely, terrified, desperate child of God praying for salvation, my soul cleansed or miracles of the mind, granting refuge in heaven's embrace. I want to be an angel, so I cannot sin upon my body. Damned as I may be, I cower in fear at the thought of turning myself sacrificial lamb. No more bread, just the blood, cells dispersing like fluids pumping into the womb. I am unborning myself, recreation via death. I dreamt of dying again. Thank you, thank you. Um, I am not looking at anything, so sorry if no. Yes. So the third piece is called Flight. It's a little bit of a lighter tone. This piece is dedicated to my nephew who I love, Logan. Flight. Logan often mentions you. We see a plane and he asks if you're on it, LOL. The other day he was saying he wants to go to New York because you're there. You're far physically, but always in our hearts. Nephew. You see airplanes and think of me, how I am free, like a bird, my wings outstretched towards the future. I am miles away, but thankfully always in your heart. You want to see me, to visit where I now live, and my heart grows with pride. My existence is proof of the infinite potential amidst the chaos. Nephew, look between the ignition, wield and shape the fire. The opportunity to mold an iron soul is within your grasp. I have witnessed the smoldering of my body, my skin burning alive by my own two hands, but now I see a dazzling sight, a formidable, impenetrable spirit, a sword of metal. I am anywhere my heart exists. I cannot be bound by state lines or borders, human-made creations. Nature is always calling for me. I want to be blessed by the grains of soft, multicolored sand on beaches, to feel my toes on wet rock settled near waterfalls, the sea surrounding my being, be honored by the steps of temples, holy historical sites. I want to stand atop of a mountain of any peak and witness the sunrise in all its glory. May you, nephew, explore anywhere your heart desires, the way I dream of finding in my lifetime before my body reunites with the earth, sinking into the soil, or scattered among the sea before disappearing back into the solar atmosphere, into the universe. We are stars, after all. May you never settle in this realm. There are too many dreams to create. May your journey be one of web spinning or bubble blowing, soft, velvety, not a hellish landscape to endure. I know this world can be cruel, and you cannot be shielded from every tragedy of this horrifying post-colonial haunting, but may you remember the blessings more than the curses. Time doesn't exist for me, yet another concept I have defied in the way my mind consistently summons the past, strategizes the future, this anxiety of family heirloom. I remember the curses more than the blessings. It is a constant struggle to be present. I used to wish I could rewire my brain, lobotomize myself, anything to escape this mental prison until one day I woke up feeling grateful to be alive. Eventually, the commitment to healing influenced the desire to continue living, which surpassed the wish for death, and the Grim Reaper stopped hovering over my shoulder, whispering in my ear. Time doesn't exist for me. I am 29, 30. I am 30 years old, but not a day over 22 in my body. This aging looks good on me. I am healthier than I was at 19, able to finally afford organic foods, fresh produce, good quality meat, not 10 years old and eating banquet frozen meals, microwave ramen noodles, or Chef Boyardee for dinner. No shame on my parents, your grandparents, just trying to afford to live. What I mean, nephew, is socioeconomic conditions in the United States are beyond unequal. It is an intentional, systematic destruction of black and brown bodies across diasporas, and you must resist perishing. Time doesn't exist for me. I am always returning to school, a perpetual student. I hope, nephew, you love learning as much as I do. I hope you find sanctuaries in books the way I once did. Do. I am an educator on my way to becoming a doctor, and books showed me how to love, how to find empathy with others unlike me, how to problem solve. No doubt it will be true. Your teacher tells your mother that you are an advanced reader, that you should apply for the gifted class like we once were in. Time is an infinite cycle, a loop let loose, no longer a noose, but a lasso. Let you, nephew, breathe the way my father, your grandfather couldn't. With the races, prejudice, traumatic histories, blows mitigated against the arms of your family, shielding you away from the flames. May you only ever see sparks, shining lights in the distance. In another lifetime, it could have been different. But thank goodness you exist. Thank goodness you are here. My nephew, Logan, I love you so much. For my nephew, Logan. Thank you, thank you. I think I'm out of time, so I'll pause there. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Oh,
Whitney. Oh, go ahead.
I forgot you said you wanted me to mention the political organization.
Oh,
Andre
yes, please, go
Easton
ahead.
Andre Easton is running for the New York's 15th congressional district, which is, known as the poorest district, but it's really just like the most exploited district in the Bronx. And he's really great, and he has been partnering with the Party for Socialism and Liberation, PSL. They're a really great organization that I'm trying to learn more about and socialism. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the space, Issa. Thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you so much, Whitney, for being part of this community. Your vulnerability is so deep. It touched me so much. Thank you so much for being here. Um, to continue on deck will be Zay. Next up, Diana Ziana Reyes Nunez. Please, the mic is all yours.
Hi, everyone. Nice to virtually meet you. I won't take up too much of your time. I just have one very short poem that's been on my heart. But I'm actually the Dominican Republic is accepting submissions for a literary like I guess award. So it was the first time that I decided to like translate the poem in Spanish. I've never written in Spanish before, even though it's my first language. So I want to read both versions, just first time reading it out loud in Spanish, just to see how that feels. Okay. So the poem is called What to Make of Falling Apartness, and it's written after Norma Wong, who's an indigenous Zen master and Hawaiian leader. My last semester of college, I studied her book, which was kind of a meditation or call to action of a community and kind of the role that we play in environmental destruction and kind of this calling to um, bring us closer and acknowledge like the role we can play as a community to liberate ourselves um, in the future that's so unclear, especially as the environment continues to be affected negatively. Anyways, in one of the chapters, she asks us what to make of falling apartness. So I guess this is my response. What to make of falling apartness? The delicate whispers of hurricane winds, the guira scratches on glacial hymns, singing lullabies as the empire sleeps, crumbling like Third Avenue apartments on a landlord's Hawaiian colonial dream. Can't mask off the Western Hemisphere. There's fluid in our lungs, and the baby can't breathe. Thank you. And now a Spanish version. ¿Qué hacer con el desmoronamiento? ¿Qué hacer con el desmoronamiento? Los delicados susurros de los vientos huracanados, el rasgueo del güiro sobre himnos glaciares, cantando canciones de cuna mientras el imperio duerme, desmoronándose como los departamentos de la Tercera Avenida ante el sueño colonial hawaiano de un casero. No se puede enmascarar el hemisferio occidental. Hay líquido en nuestros pulmones y el bebé no puede respirar. Gracias.
Diana, thank you so much for sharing that piece. It was absolutely amazing in both languages. And I definitely want to invite you to definitely come through in community, either in person or virtual again. Um, do you want to share any social media or anything of the sort, or any organizations that you want to feel empowered by?
Sure. I started my Instagram. It's like supposed to be where I post my poetry. I'm a huge perfectionist and I don't really put myself out there. So I'm, forcing myself to do this to be in community to show work that's in progress and fight against perfectionism, which is tools or whatever. Let me know. But anyways, there's nothing on there, but I guess saying it out loud is gonna force me to hold myself accountable and put my work out there. So my writing Instagram is at Diana Jaina Writing. I'm gonna put it in the chat. Just But yeah, thank you all so much. I'm excited to continue to hear your beautiful voices and the powerful work that you do. Thank you all.
Thank you so much again. Next on deck is Mario. Currently, let's invite to the stage Zay.
Everyone. Hi. My apologies for the music you hear in the background. I'm in a coffee shop. But the poem I'm going to read today is just one. It's called Being a Teacher. This is for you, Flavita. Being a teacher isn't fun anymore. This poem is very important to me because it makes me reflect on just how I do love my job, but in the same breath, I don't, because of with everything going on in the state of the world and how education is really not being taken seriously anymore, or it's lessened or it's devalued. So this is being a teacher isn't fun anymore. Being a teacher isn't fun anymore. In between there being enough money for well-funded wars and genocides, the schools being left with bullet cases and bodies left on the floor, I mean it when I say being a teacher isn't fun anymore. Pro-life, fighting for the creation of life, I mean lives. How could those lives know that protection comes with an expiration date? Hypocrisy at its highest, but we're just supposed to go on knowing that this will happen again and again and again and again and again. I mean it when I say being a teacher isn't fun anymore. Being a hindrance in your child's progression because you yourself didn't get the chance to fix what you still need to fix isn't going to fix anything. Fix your shit because there is work to do, children to protect. It is not fair to bring children into a world where they have less rights than you and I do. Children need to be raised to be individuals, not deemed to be what is to be acceptable. But yet I digress. I mean it when I say being a teacher isn't fun anymore. Thank you. Again, like I said, this poem is so important to me because currently, right now, with this current administration, there's so much that is going on and so much that is being taken away from us, especially the children. And as a person who grew up in the education system and having a disability, I want to make sure that I'm making sure that I'm being the right representation for kids and making sure that they know that you can still be whatever you want to be, regardless of whatever setbacks that you may or may not have. And just again, what's going on in the education system is very disappointing and it needs to be fixed. And there's a lot more work that needs to be done. So thank you again. Thank you so much for this. I appreciate it so much. You guys have a safe, blessed, and beautiful night. Oh, my Instagram is Zays_poetry_24. Thank you so much.
And thank you so much, Say. Thank you so much for bringing, like, we have so many teachers here as features, and it's good to
Yes.
talk about this, especially given how defunded the Board of Education now currently is and all of the changes that are occurring within it. I'm so happy that to have you and so happy to have your voice here. Um, unless there is somebody else who wants to read, next up, well, on deck is myself. And now I want to introduce mi hermano, Mario Jose Pagan Morales. Welcome to the stage.
Hola, buenas noches. To say that I'm honored to be on the this open mic is an understatement, just because a lot of my favorite poets are in this group. So buenas noches. Please enjoy a 3-day weekend. Happy Juneteenth. And I've been on the tear recently. Sometimes I go through these stages where I don't write. I'm just editing pieces that I wrote before. But this is new shit. So I'll start with a love poem. I'll go into some political poem and then end it with something fun. So this is called Everything Bagel. Ellos no entienden why I look at bagels with such bitter disappointment. They think it's just a bagel, bro. Y no saben about the slow rise in the dark, the 12 horas of cold fermentation necesario for a thing to develop its true depth, its actual texture. Le digo, you can't rush that kind of magic. It takes tiempo para construir un foundation that dense. I miss the heavy, unyielding pull of it, the way a real crust fights back un poquito when you bite, demanding your full attention, your paciencia before it yields. Everything here is too light, too easily dissolved, as if it was made to be olvidado the second que te lo tragas. Cuando yo viajo, I find myself explaining and defending the chemistry of New York water. How the low calcium, the soft flow from the Catskills is la única cosa capable of binding the dough into algo that holds its shape contra the boiling heat. Sin eso, everything collapses into an imitation. Y me escondo detrás de la receta. And I talk about malt, the blistered skin, the exact proportions of everything seasoning clinging to the bottom of a brown bag because it's easier than saying your name. It's easier to complain about una mañana horrible, to admit that I am starving for the quiet of your smile, that my hands feel completely empty without that warmth, that every kitchen outside our borders is just a room where the water runs cold and nothing ever holds together, and I count the remaining seeds, measure the grease soaking through the paper, pretending que el hambre is just for everything bagels, and then not for the way the air used to settle before the distance made every table feel como una isla. So, Catherine Benitez is not in the room, but I just wanted to say that she touched on street vendors. And for you folks that don't know, maybe some of you do, Mexico's economy is driven by street vendors, not by the stock market, not by anything else, but street vendors drive the economy in Mexico. And I will also say that in most countries that it's a big impact. And Puerto Rico right now is going through so many different changes, and everything's being attacked by the government. And one of the things that is being attacked is the street vendors. The House tried to pass a law banning street vendors, and the island was like, hell no. And they actually had to pull back on that. So I just wanted to, if Catherine sees this, say thank you to her for that poem. But I also have a cousin who lives on the island, and one of the things that is going on right now is a shortage of water. So this is new shit. The faucets mudos. El calendario sheds its skin like a ligartijo seco. 90 days ticking by in a desierto made of an island. The Caribbean mal estira an endless blue espejo, guiándose of the kitchen sink where la sed grows dientes inside la casa. The faucet is a rusted garganta gasping for air. It can never catch a hacking cough, un fantasma clearing its throat en la oscuridad. Esperamos por la triple A como santos, esperando por un cielo that forgot how to cry. Mientras los politicians spin webs out of water vapor, afuera the heat is a heavy cabrón, sitting on the chest of vecinos, derritiéndose en el asphalt, volviéndose black molasses. La cisterna plástica en el rufo is a hollow drum booming con el echo of una barriga vacía mientras el ocean A million galones of liquid glass laughs at un pueblo whose throat is as dry as un bacalaíto. Mientras tanto, the developers draft a different map, spit on our drought, y call it Essencia, dry soil, bought with a billionaire's pocket change, where they dream of cinco estrellas, luxury, blooming from our thirst. They build concrete cages while our barrios crumble into dust. Y Dios mío, even los coquís sound like sandpaper y no cantan of rain ya. They click like broken castañuelas. Soon se ahogarán under the shadow of two private golf courses, emerald monsters que will drink a río a day. So tax evading gringos can swing a club in El Güey, leaving us to rot where a laundry pile has grown into a sleeping cuco en la esquina, clothed in the sweat of 3 months, dreaming of a washing machine that used to spin like las fiestas patronales, and vecinos gathered by the empty pompas holding galones like plastic babies that will never grow, waiting for an oasis truck that drives through our memories slower que un century, for a people drowning in the middle of an ocean parched in paradise, donde the water is a luxury sold in botellas plásticas, and the rain is just a rumor the clouds forgot to tell us about. So I'll end with something fun. It is the times we live in. I think I spoke to me and Flavio were talking about this poem, and I told her that I've come to the conclusion that the 1980s, where I grew up, was preparing us for what we're living in now. Because I swear to God, I feel like I'm living in a B movie, where where all of this shit is happening. And most of the movies when I was a kid was about this. So, and there was something fun. Chango rides the one train. After speaking to John about how he keeps his hair so chuchi, y lo convence que aceite de coco will keep the scalp healthy, hazme caso. ¿Por qué tú crees que yo siempre estoy tan lindo? Con su cafecito bien cargado, le dice al Bautista, mira, jugaste estos numeritos, nos vemos, que tengo que ir, que Nanichi me espera. He leaves Ralphie's bodega y le pide la bendición al gato. Takes the one train on la 138 downtown. Y pro cambio, por si acaso los ancestros come through and showtime, porque debo revelar todo. Y no te sorprendas si un muerto se le trepa and starts telling you about tu bisabuela. Y mira, no te cortes el pelo. Y otra cosa, nene, be on the lookout, que no se te trepe un muerto, el escorpión te va a ahogar y la luna roja. Y avanza, que ya es muy tarde. Tu negrita te espera. Calladito, he listens, and he listens to el bochinche de la ciudad, atento a sus hijos, porque the first rule is to love your mujer y cuida a tu familia, y de que eso ni se mencione, porque él sabe how to love sweet waters y el viento and war, y las estrellas incontables are always on the lookout, y le cuentan si uno de los de él está en peligro. And let me tell you something, papi, I don't know shit. A mí no me preguntes nada, but if you ask me, el tipo ese que se metió con agüita did not get hit by a car por coincidencia.
Thank you so much, hermano. Como siempre. It is often with these shows that Mario is the host, and today I wanted to take over those duties and just have him read. And your pieces were absolutely amazing. Expect to be hosting again next. But again, thank you so much, brother. Where can we reach you if we want to connect with you online?
Isa's usually the one who takes care of like running the Zoom meeting while we're hosting, but just to say you're doing a wonderful job. I can't tell if you're nervous or not. You're doing wonderful. These days, you can reach me on Instagram. Mario underscore Jose underscore Pagan underscore Morales, or you can find me at 1520 Sheridan Avenue. Come through.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Whitney.
Thank you, Mario. Not
Oh,
the
happy
address, the
birthday.
chat. I love it. It was a little earlier this month, May 17th. Thank you, Mario. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, happy birthday to all the June Geminis. My birthday was on the 14th, y'all. I'm literally it's literally 2 a.m. where I'm at because I'm traveling for my birthday.
Oh my Lord. Happy
Oh,
birthday to
happy
you as
birthday.
well. Uh, so unless there is
Thank you.
anyone else who wants to participate, and I will give 5 seconds for that. Let me know in the chat if you do. All good. We will be ending it with me. Um, Usually when I read a poem for liking, maybe just generally over the past couple of months, I always read like a heartache poem just because my lesbian trans heart needs it. However, this time I'm going to stick a little closer to community and activism. Um, Earlier this month, I had the chance to walk the Knickerbocker Puerto Rican Day Parade. It was an amazing experience that I got to enjoy with the organization Aldofina, who I am currently a part of. Aldofina is a Puerto Rican women's organization. We're going through a lot of different actions, but particularly, I would like to mention that for the action that we did for the parade, because the parade, our march was more than just a performance, it was an action. I was put in charge, put in lead for the performance aspect of it. And we performed a folkloric story against NYPD violence. Um, it was a amazing march, amazing performers. We walked all down that street, and we also called out the 83rd precinct, the precinct in Bushwick, specifically because of the violence that both Adolfina and another group, Hoopy, suffered last year at the queer bar Mood Ring that went unaddressed and still goes unaddressed. What I want to do for my performance is to recite the preface and the folkloric story that I wrote that inspired the performance that was done at the parade. And I'll start with the preface. You can also find this online at Adolfina's Beehive. That's our blog that we sometimes post out calls to action, etc., etc. Preface. I start off with a quote. Don't forget the magnificent sweep of the imagination and dreams of youth. Through all the hardships and heartbreaks, these dreams often become realities. That is a quote by Pura Beltri, an amazing Puerto Rican educator who brought so many Puerto Rican stories to our community. For most of my life, I believe that through the imagination, we have the ability to create our own realities. I remember myself as a small child constantly daydreaming through all my classes, imagining wild stories inspired by other stories, like from Saturday morning cartoons or those you read to us, or those read to us from books in the library. My mother and father would often tell me stories too, haunting stories, ones from their childhood. How mommy, as a young girl, found rubies in her grandparents' field that would sink and disappear into the ground when she approached. How papi, as a boy brought to New York City from Borinquen in the 1950s, would play follow the leader and jump from Bronx rooftop to Bronx rooftop until the day his friend fell. I had seen stories everywhere. There wasn't one corner of Los Sures or Bushwick where a story wasn't taking place. Stories de nuestra gente, de la diáspora. Stories about surviving the day to day, not always making it, but always reaching toward un futuro that included La Isla de Encanto. To quote Uraberpri, Puerto Rico is a beautiful island with a culture enriched by old stories gained from many people. Traces of this culture are everywhere. I was surrounded by these traces. However, there was always a counter story being pushed. The reason I was so caught up in my own daydreaming during class was because instead of teaching us the stories of our own people and culture, we were inundated with the stories of the United States, of the American dream, of rugged individualism that conquers instead of cultivates. Stories that prefaced the superiority of white people in an attempt to give us something to aspire to, or worse, to keep us in our place. To define our roles in life before getting a chance to really live it. I hated to hear, for the umpteenth time, the story of George Washington's wooden teeth, or how he chopped down a cherry tree. They were lies. The truth, its own horrific story, would paint a picture of the United States as the monstrous entity it has always been. The older I got, the more I wanted to write stories, stories of my culture, of my dreams, of my pain, of my nightmares. Stories that could rival the peddled slop we're sold on the daily. Stories that would approach the truth of our condition. Stories are weapons, as sharp and vicious as any machete, and will be the way we cut our path through a better future. Last year, members of Adolfina and JUPI is the Juventud Unido para Independencia for Puerto Rico, were attacked at the club Mood Ring during an after-party bombazo for the Puerto Rican Day Parade. The attack was unprovoked. Several members were injured, egregiously charged, and left to bear those wounds into this year's festivities. Wounds further reopened by self-serving community members and the politician Maritza Davila, who would lie and downplay last year's attack, even going as far as to say we must support the NYPD and be good Puerto Ricans. At this year's parade, our contingent brought this conversation to the people of Bushwick. We hoped to not only let the people know what occurred, but also to inspire a different telling of our future. Un Puerto Rico libre y un Bushwick against gentrification and police violence. A call for all of our people to rise together against all the elements seeking to control us through respectability politics or through violence. Bombazo itself is a long storied tradition for the Puerto Rican people. It is our beating heart. For the NYPD to invade and attack the Bate brings forth a deep generational hurt, one that calls forth the history of the enslaved African on the island of Puerto Rico. It was these traces that developed into the idea that would become the story you're about to hear, and the performance you saw if you were at the parade. Here is a retelling of the bombazo through the lens of folktale. El bombazo. Mi gente, mi corillo, ven aquí, da un vuelta. Circle around to hear una historia de Borinquen. And a story ni de ahora ni de entonces. Una historia out of time. Desde aquí y desde allá. En una noche de encanto. The sun was setting on June 8th, and so were the embers among the fields of Hacienda Davila. So much of the plantation was smoldering after the great victory against the demonic mayordomos de Azúcar. It was a great victory won that morning, hard fought by the tribes of slaves who had been tending the lands for hundreds of years, perhaps even before the beginning of time. An infinity of generations cultivating a precious land that would become horribly exploited by strangers of a far-off country. The invaders had left their own lands barren and searched for another to infect with their poison called greed. Each day, the contramayordomos, or the cabos as they were often called, would wake up before sunrise. Instead of the sun or the sound of birds waking up the people of the island, there were hard cracks of whips, sometimes a rifle shot. Those menacing slave drivers would force families from their hut and into the fields, while the whole day was spent planting and cutting sugarcane. These cabos were former members of the tribe. They were set free to positions of authority and given better huts away from the rest. They were told over and over again by the mayordomos that they were the best of their people, that they were good at keeping order, and that the harder they worked the slaves, the more their bellies would stay full. The sun had risen on that fortunate day. The cabos had cracked their whips on one back too many. Another child had fallen. Collectively, the spirit could not hold the dolor any longer, Furia had brought fire to the chest of every slave. From every corner of the field there were gritos, no más, nunca más, basta ya. They rose in a terrifying wave. No more hours of endless work without rest. No more empty plates for tomorrow. No more wasted hours away from the things that mattered most to the villagers. Every villager stormed the mansion of Patrona Davila, la horrible lady. Searching rooms through luxurious rooms, they could not find anyone. Just fancy furnitures, useless treasures, and rotten food. Davila had fled at the first shout of the villagers, and the mayordomos soon followed after. However, the cabos tried to stand their ground. They followed their last orders and unleashed a terrible violence onto the villagers. They were merciless, on horseback or with dogs, with sticks, whips, y con pistolas, sin culpa, sin moral, sin alma. They repeated strange chants that they were just doing their jobs, that they were following the law. However, this did not stop the raging hearts of the people. The people pushed them past the edge of the hacienda and declared themselves and this land free. The cabos retreated to the same direction as where Davila and her mayordomos fled. As the sun set on June 8th, the villagers gathered around to tend to their wounds. So many men, women, and children were hurt through the fighting. There had to be plans as to what to do next, but first comes some rest. A group of bomberos appeared and gathered in their line. Music was a great healer. And so the community gathered around from far and wide to form the bate. Soon, La Leana, a woman dressed in all purple with a long flowing skirt, took their place and belted a grand pronouncement, "Our spirit will never be defeated." As so the barres resounded. The qual drove the beat, the maracas added to the pulse of the rhythm, el bombazo began. An infectious rhythm spread through the people as everyone began to clap, sing, and dance to the liberational songs of bomba. It grew louder and louder, so loud it was as if the island itself had joined in. The flora and the fauna, the spirits and the gods soon followed. Every atom de la Isla de Encanto joined the celebration. Then, all of a sudden, there was a terrible rumble in the distance. Jarring voices from afar boomed against the drumming. A stampede, crashing through the fields like a runaway train, descended upon the bate. It was the Cabos. They had returned shouting demands, strikes, sticks held ready to strike, and guns ready to fire. They yelled at the group to stop playing, demanded the group disperse and return to their huts, threatened to break their drums and their hands. There was a deafening silence, the same silence you find in the middle of a hurricane. The coqui became stone. The salty wind became stale. The moon and the stars were shining in the night sky. Shining in the night sky suddenly disappeared, as if the heavens had suffered un apagón. This sheet of miserable silence enveloped the batey, but one among the crowd had risen to their feet. La Leana rose. She rose with a machete in her hand. Then a hand struck a drum, a child clapped, viejitos stamped their ancient feet, thunder roared from the crown and the sun from the clouds, and the song began again. Soon the machetes rose among everyone in the village, as if the people were had pulled them from the very soil. The crowd grew larger. The spirit of the ancestresses could be seen among the villagers, all of them wielding mighty machetes, all of them with a fire in their chests. The moon and stars would appear again in the night sky and etch the words Libertad and Resistencia on the blades. The crowd marched toward the cabos, chasing them away. The cabos, in a fit of fear so ancient and real, retreated once more. As they ran through the night, they found themselves engulfed in a shadowy sheet, a black mist so dark that they could not see in any direction, not in front of them or behind them. They fled in all directions until they found themselves transformed into cerdos, pigs, pigs for the slaughter, pigs to be made into lechon that no one, not even God, would eat. The villagers were now completely free, free to usher an entirely new future than the ones others tried to bind them to. Thank you so much. And we'll do the outro. Thank you everyone so much again for joining us in this virtual open mic of La Esquina Presente. You can see us potentially next month. I want to say thank you first to all the readers that came out tonight. Thank you so much. And next month we will potentially be having two shows. One show will, and I say potentially because I have to work out details, will potentially be part of the Open Streets Festival up in the Upper East Side of Manhattan. So definitely check us out there. And then the next show after that, which will happen toward the end of the month, will be in Los Sures for my birthday, because I want to be in Los Sures for my birthday. And that's it. I will be putting all schedules, flyers on the social media. You can follow us at La Esquina Presente on Instagram. And again, thank everyone so much for being here. Thank you all so much for viewing, and I hope you all have a good night. Thank you
Thank
so
you for
much.
hosting.
Of course.
Love you.